Ain't even. I didn't. This one ain't posted nowhere.
Okay, yeah. Put it in the folder, and then I'll see if I can bring it over here in a few minutes. Look, I'm so ill prepared. Oh, we are live, by the way, just so you know. So
Oh
the
well.
no
Now
take
I
backs
know.
rule. Yeah, the no take backs rule. So yeah, I'm about as discombobulated tonight. Look, for the past couple of weeks or even couple of months, we've been much better prepared and all that, and I've just reverted back to a few months ago where I'm winging it. You're gonna have to saddle up and carry me through this episode, Mr. Lowry.
Well, I got it. I think I can. I think I can handle it tonight. But I got to tell you, I'm so discombobulated. I can't even find my screen to see where we're live on the show. I got so
Look,
many windows open. I can't even see.
I don't even know if we're live yet or not because I got put in Facebook timeout. My first time ever to be
Well,
in
if it's
Facebook timeout.
if it's any consolation, we are live on Twitter,
Hey,
and
we got not to interrupt you. Greg Bell says we're up on Facebook. So we got two platforms. You said we're on Twitter, right?
we are on Twitter. But look, I think inquiring minds want to know. We want to know what the infamous El Guapo got put in timeout on Facebook for. I mean, you're like the social media Facebook king. How is it that you wound up in Facebook jail? I mean, you and Kara. I don't get it.
Well, Kara's a repeat offender from what I understand. My case, literally all the anti-Obama stuff, the COVID stuff, everything I've posted on my personal timeline, not to mention the pages that I do and all that, I've never been put in Facebook jail. And they're very vague about it. You defied some community standards or something. I hadn't posted anything ridiculous lately, but I sure enough got put in kind of a timeout, not completely kicked, but they put me in a timeout and I couldn't share certain posts, so blah 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 blah.
Well, wait a minute.
They're picking on me.
Were you using some terminology that you didn't know? You were talking about some subject or using terminology that you didn't know, and somebody made some
Well,
complaint that.
I have to say I've not been using the Urban Dictionary to filter my words and acronyms lately. Going back to a few shows ago where we discussed a certain acronym that, well, anyway, we'll just leave it at that. You can go back and watch the See You Next You Know What Day episode. Um, but anyway,
Oh,
so
see, you
I
being
hadn't.
politically correct right there. She has already changed your terminology right there.
No, I know. Dadgummit. What am I going to do here, Duke? I mean, I'm just falling apart at the seams tonight.
I,
But I will say this.
Joe
I don't.
Rogan would not be happy. Joe
Uh,
Rogan would not be happy.
Yeah, he may not be. I've been on my soapbox on one of our other channels, and maybe we'll talk about that when we come out of the break for just a few minutes. Because, look, I've had issues today with Apple and the Louisiana Department of Agriculture. And not really issues with the Department of Agriculture. That's actually been going spectacularly, and I've been educated on some stuff you might find interesting.
Okay, you're like the Apple king, and
Yeah.
you got problems with Apple?
Well, technically not me. All my affairs are in order with Apple, but my son, he was fishing, so that's his only saving grace. They were on the Red River, they were fishing in their kayaks. He set the hook on a fish. I think they were throwing frogs or whopper ploppers. Sorry about that. They were throwing whopper ploppers. He had a fish hit. He went to set the hook. He knocked his phone out of his bib pocket and bloosh down in the river it went. Well,
Okay, you're trying to turn this into an outdoor news. This is the Bossier
uh,
Watch show. It's
dang
not
it.
the outdoor news. Just
I'm
reminder.
I've
Go
got the
ahead.
logo placement, down over
Can,
there, confused with being up there. So anyway, make a long story short, I've got insurance on the phones, so I ordered him another phone. They delivered it today, like next day service. I figured no big deal. I'll activate the phone because I wasn't here when they delivered it. I'll activate the phone, sign into his Apple account. I know the passwords. I'm literally the one that set it up. No big deal. Apparently, he changed his password at some point. He didn't know what it was. I couldn't figure it out. Apple wouldn't let us in without, 2 drops of blood and hair type and hair follicles and all that. Anyway, it's just been one of those days, folks. One of those
well,
days.
Something tells me you'll be able to get countless months of data, back from them. And, unlike other government agencies that can't figure it out unless it's to stop Trump. And then, you can get everything. But that's neither here nor there. I'm going off on a squirrel. What are we talking about tonight?
Well, we have listed, this is show number 8, the Bossier PoPo. Um, I guess we're going to be talking about the Fraternal Order of Police pay raise issues in Bossier.
Well, this week, the Fraternal Order of Police, generally they hadn't really been, and I'm not going to say this is political, but they are not out there, front and center a whole lot. They mainly kind of do the feel good stuff. I mean, of fundraising for people, police that get sick or line of duty stuff. I mean, they're just kind of like been the support guys, but now they're kind of front and center and out front. And they put out a pretty strong letter this week, and kind of I got to tell you, I'm kind of proud of them on stepping up there on that a little bit. So you've got Bossier politics and the Bossier politicos playing with public safety a little bit. So we're going to talk about all that and do a deep dive into that tonight.
Okay.
And then something that really spurred me this week. I don't know if you and all of y'all watching. I don't know if any of y'all had the opportunity. Jeff Sadow put out a really good piece this week, and
Hmm.
talking about the Charter Commission and kind of where things are headed with that. And it was a really good piece. And I got to tell you, it grabbed my attention, and it really helped me to get focused. It focused because while we do this show, um, you know, you end up kind of sort of getting disillusioned by all the
Right.
information, and it kind of helps you lose focus. And I will say that his article really kind of brought it home for me and helped me to put the pieces together. And I did a lot of work today putting all of these past council meetings together and the statements that were made to paint the picture, because I've had an opinion for many years about governance in Bossier City, and hopefully we're gonna sew that up for everybody tonight.
All right. Well, that sounds like a plan, and you'll be educating me because unfortunately, I saw Jeff's article come across email. I didn't have time to read it, so it's going to be kind of a learning experience for me. Hey, I think we're going to talk about buoys, not boys, not. Well, I can't say that word because it's supposed to be a halfway child-friendly show. Anyway, not boys, buoys, and the Cypress district. I think we're going to go down that path just a little bit, right?
Just a
Maybe.
hair,
Okay.
yeah,
We'll
because
get
we
it
we
started.
yeah, we'll go there, and because we got a long way to go on that subject, but we'll get it started on that subject, as you say.
And it may be one of those we talk about some on here, and some of it may apply, and we may do an outdoor news show on it. So, anyway, all right, let's go ahead, if you don't mind, Mr. Lowry, and let's do the countdown and the break and all that. That'll give me time to kind of get a little organized. Folks, y'all make sure and share and tag and let folks know. Duke, I have limited
Now
sharing
wait a
cap.
minute, wait a minute, just
Put on the
stop,
brakes. Put on the
just stop.
brakes.
So there's right at 60 people watching right now. And every show we do this, we ask everybody, like and share, and they don't do it.
You can say it in my
They
sleep.
they don't do it. It's like
Well, we
they
have a
want to.
few people do, a few
Well,
dedicated
we do.
watchers,
We've
a
a
couple.
few,
Yeah,
but it would be helpful. Y'all do us a favor and share, because there's more people needs to know this information. And if you're only watching just so because you don't like us and because you want to be able to oppose us, that's fine.
it's
We
fine.
respect that. But if you do like us and you want your fellow citizens informed, all you got to do is hit that little button share. That's all you got
Yeah.
to do.
Look, if you don't agree with what we say, that's fine. Tag some friends, share this out in some groups, and say, hey, these jackwagons, to borrow your term, Duke, we hadn't used in a while, these jackwagons are on the air again. Let's get over there in the comments and troll them. Hey, that's fine too. Come on, bring it.
Get get a group of people that oppose us to come on the show and come in the comments, or start going after us. That's
Yeah.
fine.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun. So, all right. let's go ahead and do the break and all that kind of stuff. David Womack, Judy Stewart, Val Baker, Lisa Gosden Smith all said that they have done it. So we're proud to see that. Colonel Crockett is in the house as well. Let's do the break. I can do limited sharing. Y'all help a brother out, help Duke out, help him to share all this out tonight because I'm kind of still in timeout. We'll be right back in just a few minutes. Bunch of jack wagons. All right, here we go.
Knew a lot of the back office on the politicians that they think walk on water, they would be shocked. You know, there's an old wound from a knife in my back that just is giving me heck lately, and it's just really irritating. So I have to kind of wiggle around a little bit.
Well, I've not heard my name in stable or Baton Rouge in stable in the same sentence in a long time.
And I titled it A Shot Across the Bow of the Good Old Boys.
Just, you know, they feel helpless, they don't feel heard, they have nowhere to turn.
Some Republicans as well believe that government has the answers. And let me tell y'all something. I don't know anything government does well. Nothing.
Aren't there laws that say that you have public meetings so that the public can have accountability of their elected officials?
They're making a little bit of progress, but I would definitely have to give the race to Caddo Parish right now.
I don't know. Is there anybody from Plain Dealing watching, you think?
As a member of the media, I'm very concerned about what I've just heard.
Did you or did you not requisition some money to fight against this or for it?
We hired a lobbyist and it cost us $15,000. We were opposed to HB 630.
So for this week, folks, the cockroach of the week, according to Bossier Watch and Duke Lowry and Rex Moncrief, is
Raymond Cruz legislative assistant, Allie Feaster Smith. Thank you, Allie. Well, I'm not thinking Star Wars at all. I'm thinking zombie apocalypse. No way. It was not David. You know it wasn't David Montgomery. David ain't gonna jump off in there with Chris. He ain't gonna do it. He'd as soon spit on him as he would even look at him. Man, this is a Mickey D's Krispy Kreme week. Didn't you know? Who's paying y'all? And if you're driving on the roads, are you safe?
It's on the road, yeah.
Well, I know you're on the road, but I mean, is this all folks coming from the border down there?
Yeah, it's going to border. It's actually going to Mexico and buses.
Doesn't mean they interpret it the same way that I do. For instance, the Second Amendment. I take it very literally. That's been interpreted different ways in the court system all the way up to SCOTUS. Yeah, that's only going to cause more division that he claims he doesn't want to cause. And it's only going to cause more suspicion. We're still right now combined on both pages and YouTube at 264 people watching. That is amazing, folks. Coleman Project, the Walker Place deal, through conscious, shocking actions. The purpose of their actions was to stop plaintiffs, being the Ewell, Coleman, and associated groups not, from developing Walker Place. But here's the key thing, which in turn would enrich sitting city council members Scott Irwin and David Montgomery Jr.
You hit the button. Does that mean that people are seeing us sitting here talking and chatting?
In theory, you know, it's an every week thing. We got to double check and make sure it's like a miracle any of this actually works. This Bossier Watch live broadcast is brought to you by the Outdoor News, fishing and outdoors for our area. Acadiana Mortgage, over 25 years in the mortgage business. Pelican Training and Consulting. Reach out to Julie Ferris. Smarter Geek, making technology easier. And folks sharing information and watching out for Bossier. Now, grab your popcorn and a drink. Here we go. And show number 198, here we are again. Presto, we made it again.
2 more to the magic 200.
Yeah.
And I don't know.
Yeah.
We'll see what happens on show 200.
So I thought it's been kind of a little bit of a slow political news week and things to keep an eye on, but we've apparently had a few things going on. Look, I've been involved in this Department of Agriculture deal. I have been down a rabbit hole with them. Would you like to hear just a quick summary of what it is? Because there's actually a political Bossier Watch potential tie-in here.
Well, I got to confess, I did watch a little outdoor show, and so I might know a little more than the average Joe. But if you
Well,
didn't catch that outdoor show, you may not would know. So go ahead and tell the story as if I didn't know, so folks watching will understand.
yeah, that's a good idea. So here is the quick summary rundown. So if you go over after Bossier Watch, of course, and find the outdoor news on Facebook or find it on YouTube, I've put the links and I'll put the YouTube link in there. Like and follow or subscribe on the YouTube channel. Okay, go back for context, and you might want to watch show 9, but certainly show 10. So it's very simple. I did not realize until I got dragged down this rabbit hole through the rumor mill of the bass fishing community. I got to tell you, Duke, the bass fishing community is worse than the political community, if that's at all possible. The whisper campaigns, the rumor mills, all that sort of thing. I would argue it's as bad or worse, or maybe, I hate to make fun of little old ladies, but it's like little old ladies gossiping around the room. The bass fishing guys are worse. All right, but anyway, I digress. So
So I just got this vision of little old ladies driving around in bass boats all over my lake, blowing through the no wake buoys. That's why can't I see anything but that?
yeah. So anyway, um, to
Yeah,
make
see,
a
I
long
threw you for a loop there.
threw me for a loop. Now I've got visions of little old ladies in bass boats running 70 miles an hour through your cove. I can't get that out of my head, Duke. Thanks a lot. So anyway, to make a long story short, I end up using some of my expertly honed skills from Bossier Watch and my past political days. I reached out to the Louisiana Department of Agriculture because I had been accused of ratting out some tournament organizations for their scales not being certified. Now, I thought, or did not realize you had to have bass or any fishing tournament for that matter, scales certified. I mean, why? If the scales are off, they're off for everybody. Doesn't matter,
So so what if you don't use scales?
Well, you don't weigh fish and nobody wins and everybody goes home.
Well, no. It's
Well,
how many?
no, we don't. Well, but even when they do, not anybody does that anymore, Mr. Lauer. At least not in bass tournaments. Crappie fishing, the crappie tournaments are a big thing. So I guess you could.
Y'all all must not have grew up in Halton, I can see. But anyway, go ahead.
I guess you could start a circuit and go by numbers, but even the MLF fishing organization, you can catch all the fish you want to catch, but even they weigh every fish. So, and that's a whole other thing. But anyway, so let me summarize this real quickly, and we won't dwell on it long. But did you know I did a public information request? I also called the Department of Agriculture, and did you know that fishing tournaments, of course, including bass tournaments, are required by law to use certified scales? So you have to get them certified with that cute little Department of Ag sticker or whatever they do and pay that fee. And not only that, the weighmaster, the person in charge of weighing, has to take an online exam and pay a fee every year. Did you know that?
Good grief, all for a stinking fish tournament?
Yeah. If any prizes or awards are given away, it doesn't even have to be money. And so now the bass fishing community, I don't know if I'll ever be able to show my face at a fishing tournament again. And I didn't cause this. I'm just the messenger.
Well, that seems a little extreme to me, doesn't it to you? I don't know.
So we may have to use some Bossier Watch skills and get some of our local legislators involved, because I'm thinking maybe we need to try to get that law amended and exclude bass tournaments. Well, fishing, any tournament. So
Look, I'm not into this bass thing like you are. I'm not, but I mean, so the guys are throwing you under the bus on the bass tournament thing, and then now you're talking about fixing a problem that they had that they didn't even know they had.
Yeah, that's basically the synopsis of it. Yes.
Okay, I'm with you. Sounds
Yeah.
good to me.
Yeah. So yeah, I guess the Department of Ag, they should be paying me a commission because I got word that the Department of Agriculture, through one of the guys that's called down there today to check on what all he's got to do, the Department of Agriculture said, we've gotten like 15 calls in the last 24 hours. What the hell is going on in North Louisiana?
Well, now they know there's something other than saltwater fishing going on in the state. I guess that's a good thing.
I guess so. So anyway, let's see. Greg Bell says, I'm sorry, Greg. He says, you'll probably ruin it for the Cub Scouts when it comes to Pinewood Derby if you involve the guy. Look, if y'all are giving away prizes, you might want to have those scales certified when you weigh those cards. I'm just saying. So, Colonel Crockett says, aren't tournament records at stake? Well, that's a whole other thing. We'll save that for the outdoor news with the tournament records. Anyway.
Well, well, look, there were a lot of other political things that have went on. Folks may have been a little asleep and didn't notice, but last show we were talking about a development. We had a guest come on out there in your neck of the woods, Carriage Oak, Stockwell, out in that area, and
yeah.
The guest, said that the developer used the terminology of shotgun housing themselves or something to that effect. Well, I got to tell you, I've had a little time to think on that a little bit and ponder on that because I got to tell you, it was kind of bugging me a little bit, but I figured it out.
Well, what's the deal?
I figured it out. Well, if anybody was following the election results in Caddo Parish this weekend, you would know that John Nicholson didn't win. Whitehorn won the race. And during that campaign, somewhere along the lines, there were some of the Whitehorn people that were saying that, all them white folks y'all going to see and you're going to have to go. So I figured it out. The reason they're putting this development is to provide a place for all those white folks in Caddo Parish that's going to get run out by Whitehorn and have to come to Bossier.
Hold on a minute. I got to get a drink of tea. This really is sweet tea, folks. Hold on just a second.
I'm just telling you, it all makes sense. This is pre-planned. It ain't even like helicopters. They've been planning.
You know that saying, when you're in a hole, quit digging. I'm already in a hole with Facebook. I'm in timeout. Now they're going to get us for saying racial things. I don't know.
But look, I can go grab the videos off of Facebook. Facebook can't whack us for that. When you got those folks over there, and Cato was talking about, with going after the mama bears and saying, "Oh, all them white folks, y'all gonna see whatever," and the vote like your life depended on it over there. They literally used race as the basis of a campaign over there. I mean, I know that every single political campaign, it always devolves, especially when it's like that. They try to, if they can bring race into it, they make it about race, but they took it to an extreme over there in this race. And I got a little, backstory on that. So, you know how the legislature, how they redid those districts, right? And the congressional districts. And so supposedly now you have another majority minority district that is drawn to favor Cleo Fields.
Well, that sounds interesting. Yeah.
Well, as the story goes, what happened in Caddo was the Cleo Fields, Mary Landrew, you hadn't heard that name in a while. The Cleo Fields, Mary Landrew machine moved up north into Caddo Parish to try their hand and feel out the waters of Caddo Parish to see how effective they could be at winning a race. And they were the ones that were calling the shots in Caddo Parish in the sheriff's race to see how successful they could be.
All right, so pause right there for a second. So you're telling me that it wasn't some conspiracy theory George Soros funded. Soros actually flew in secretly to Shreveport, to the downtown airport, and secretly went around spreading cash to sway this election? You're telling me that's not true, Duke?
Okay, so you are, you didn't tell me I got that mic all up there in the middle of my face.
Like the kind of the blue thing.
Yeah. So anyway, no, there is some legitimacy to that because, and I shared this with you, I think maybe over the weekend, that I did get a phone call from someone in Caddo Parish
Mm-hmm.
that wanted one of us to come over there because they wanted to show and provide information and evidence regarding an individual who was the point of contact for the Soros organization to influence things in Caddo Parish. And
Evil George Soros. He's the devil.
now, we haven't followed up on that and we haven't gotten over there. Not that we're not going to, but
It kind of doesn't matter now. Whitehorn's the sheriff. Look, he won by a sizable margin.
yeah, that's right. I mean, not that we could have affected anything in the outcome or what have you, but in the long run, that is something that will chase down. But we did get that call, and there was a lot at play over there.
Well, yeah, lots of dynamics going on, and really, honestly, that's more of a Louisiana Watch thing. But I think you're right. It certainly affects Bossier because what goes on in Caddo Parish, I mean, there ain't but 400 yards of river separate us, and in some places it ain't that much river that separates us.
Well, if a lot of the claims that were made by surrogates of, Mr. Whitehorn are accurate, there's no way that some of the things that have taken place in Caddo Parish are taking place are not going to spill over in Bossier. So, it's practical for people in Bossier to, be conscious that, I mean, we're going to have spillover. It's just, they're going to be cause and effect. It's going to happen.
Well, here's what I want to see, though, and this is the only place I'm going to take this in a slightly racial direction. I want to see all the folks that said if Whitehorn got elected, they were leaving Caddo Parish and blah, blah, blah. I want to see y'all come on across the river and move to Bossier Parish. All the southern Shreveport, all that area, that general area, all the white folks that said they were going to move and that's it, they're putting their houses up for sale. I double dog dare you. How about that?
Oh, I don't think that's going to happen, but you know what I do think is going to happen? I think you're going to see an expedited effort for possibly the South Shreveport thing to separate from the city of Shreveport.
They may try to do that. They might
I
try
don't
to.
know.
I
We'll
don't
see.
doubt that at all. That's been brewing for a while. All right, so let's see. Where was the Republican Party, the Louisiana Republican Party for John? Well, yeah, look, one more thing, and then we'll quit beating this dead horse. Yeah, that's a good point. I mean, I didn't see that much of a campaign effort in the second go around, after the court decision for Nicholson. I mean, maybe I wasn't paying attention. Maybe he did. And look, he came on Louisiana Watch. We did an interview with him. Honestly, I told you after that show, if I were in Caddo Parish, I'd have to hold my nose to vote for either of them. No, Nicholson, I mostly agree with what he said, but his Second Amendment stance,
That's a very good point that someone just put out, because I will tell you, I mean, I was here recently. I was in Baton Rouge at the Republican State Central Committee meeting, and really, I didn't hear hardly a word about the Caddo Parish sheriff's race. I did have a little bit of brief discussion with some of the local Caddo people that were down there, but as a whole, the Republican Party as a whole, uh, I think it wasn't on their radar. I really think it wasn't.
maybe they look at it as a lost cause because of demographics. And I don't mean that in a disparaging way to any of my black friends, and I have plenty of them and plenty of black clients. I don't mean that in a disparaging way, but the facts are the facts. Maybe they look at it as a lost cause, so to speak, because of the demographics, but I would argue that therein might be the whole problem with the Republican Party, and that's a whole other discussion.
Well, I don't know that that is a sound argument to make, because demographics for the city of Shreveport, yeah, I would
Yeah.
agree with you on that. But demographics for Caddo Parish,
Right.
I don't truly know the numbers, but I wouldn't think that it's to the equivalent of Shreveport. I don't think
I
it's that way.
Yeah, I think you're correct about that. Um, so anyway, well, maybe that's something we'll broach maybe over on the Louisiana Watch side, so y'all don't get confused, folks. Again, Bossier Watch, we're trying to keep it Bossier centric. On Thursday nights, we've spun back up Louisiana Watch, and so then we're doing more regional and state stuff and national stuff, and then like we said earlier, for those of you that are just tuning in, the outdoor news stuff, we're going to cover outdoors, hunting, fishing, wildlife and fisheries stuff, and whatever else, even the Louisiana Department of Agriculture. Okay, Mr. Lowry.
Well, hey, since we're getting back on the Bossier stuff, did you hear, or did any of y'all hear? Did y'all hear that it was Bossier Day at the Capitol?
Oh, no, I did not. Let me check the notes because I want to see about this. Tell me about Bossier Day. Oh, I did hear about this. So tell me a little bit more about it, and so the viewers that don't know.
Well, so allegedly, at Bossier Day, this was kind of all the talk allegedly down there, that you had a judge from Bossier and you had a police juror from Bossier that went to extremes to try to twist the arm of a local state senator to change or pull his bills regarding attempts to lower insurance rates.
Wait, let me make sure I heard that correctly. We had a legislator that was attempting to push a bill through or whatever it is, or, to lower insurance rates. Now, here we go down the insurance rabbit hole again. But a local official from up here was against that? Did I hear you correctly? Correct me, Mr. Lauer. Surely
Yeah,
I didn't.
allegedly, a
Okay.
judge and a police juror, were down there lobbying. I mean, I don't know, but I don't know if they were lobbying on behalf of themselves or they were down there on behalf of the citizens of Bossier. I don't know in which capacity they were lobbying, but apparently they were trying to convince the state senator to change, drop, amend, get rid of his bills that he's attempting. I'm not taking a position on the bills, but his attempt, obviously, or what is is said, is to try to lower insurance rates for everybody in the state of Louisiana. But they were trying to get him to pull them or amend them or change them for some reason.
Hold
And
on a minute. So, of course, here's the inevitable question that I have. Um, we have a couple of legislators. One of them is pro insurance. I mean, literally, he's in the insurance business. So, you got the one side that's pro tort reform, you got the other side that's pro insurance company reform. I mean, give
oh,
us
do
some
we
more.
have?
Give
Oh,
us some more context
oh,
to
do we?
this.
Tell me which legislators are the pro tort or the pro lawyer legislators, because I'm thinking I don't know which ones
Oh,
those are.
yeah, that's right. They got rid of the one from North Louisiana that would have been for the pro lawyer side. They got rid of the purple guy.
Okay, so we got two legislators, new legislators that are insurance guys,
That's
right?
right. See, I forgot about that, Mr. Lauer.
We got two of them, and one of them, I don't know about the other one. I got to be honest. I'll admit I haven't looked up his bills, but I do know one of them is a newly elected senator, and he ran on, that he knew what to do and was going to do something about insurance. He was going to take action. He was going to do something. And right here out of the gate, as a freshman senator, he filed bills regarding insurance. He took action. And I'm not saying right or wrong. I don't 100% know. I'm not taking a side here. But what I am saying, he's trying to do something. And a judge and a police juror that was going down there for Bossier Day, which, as I understand it, is supposed to be, kind of the local politicos or movers or shakers that go down and try to advocate for Bossier.
Did they
But
hand them out pom-poms so they could
um,
cheerlead for Bossier? 2 bits, 4 bits, 6 bits $1, all for Bossier. Stand up and holler.
I don't know if we're going to go that far. You might be stretching things a little bit, but I heard things kind of got tense. In fact, at one point, the debate was so tense that the police juror had to step away and the judge had to finish the conversation with the senator.
I, anybody out there that was around that wants to confirm this, and remember, there's always proton mail.
Now
If you don't
look,
want to be known.
look, I got no problem. They got, they have an opinion and
Yeah,
they're entitled to their opinion on what's in the
sure.
best interest of, what they believe in the public and all of that. But were they lobbying on behalf of their own personal interest, or were they lobbying on behalf of the citizens of Bossier
Oh
or
well.
Bossier Parish, or what's in the best
Um,
interest of Bossier Parish? I'm curious on that one.
yeah, you're gonna make me go down a path and start saying some not
Oh,
so
did I
nice
tell
things
you
in
they're
this real
both
life.
lawyers? Did I tell you that?
Well, one's a judge, one's a police juror. That pretty much narrows down the field.
Yeah. So,
Okay.
I mean, and you're right. You said it earlier. Here we go. The proverbial, the lawyers, they're circling the wagon. You got the insurance lobby, they're circling the wagon. And, who's not in any one of the circle of the wagons? It's all of us, the public, and we're the ones that continue to be being screwed
Yeah.
by these two groups. And
Look,
I got to tell you, here's where I'm at. Here's where I'm at, because I've got a lot of friends on both sides. I got some in the lawyer stuff, and they tell me in my ear, they say, "Look, this is going to cause insurance rates to go through the roof. We're going to lose everything as a result of this." But they have an interest in it. And then you got, the insurance people saying that if we don't get tort reform, if we don't get tort, nothing will ever change. But what I know is that we've been giving both of them just a little bit, and they both can't be right. They
well,
both can't be right. I want to let one side win out completely, all the way. Let's give them.
here's
Let's give
here's
one side everything they want.
here's my deal with it, and we'll maybe wrap up this discussion. Before we had the lawyer being Gaddy, and we had the insurance guy, and I'll just use Seaball because they both did their insurance presentations.
Wait a minute. The insurance guy who was a
Lawyer for the insurance companies.
Correct. All right, go ahead.
Let's be crystal clear about that. He was a lawyer to litigate against claimants or policyholders, whatever. Anyway, a lawyer literally for the insurance company. So he's advocating on behalf of the insurance companies. Then you've got an attorney who is advocating on behalf of attorneys, really. And now, so you had a gray fox and a red fox in the in-house. Now, we've got more insurance guys and less lawyer guys. So now you got more red foxes guarding the hen house, and maybe just a couple and the other legislators, gray foxes guarding the hen house, and nobody is really representing the hens in the hen house. And the hens being all of us out here.
Well, like I said, I'm not saying which way is right and which is wrong, because I don't know. But here's what I do know: we have been doing this thing where this tug and pull between the two sides, and it's basically a tug of war, and not one side is winning. I say let's let it go completely all the way full tilt to one side, and you know what we're going to find out? We're going to find out whether who's right and who's wrong. Because if the insurance lobby wins out all the way and they put in all the changes that they say is what it'll take to make things better, and insurance premiums don't go down, if every insurance company across the state, if the rates stay the same and they get everything that they want and nothing changes, then you know what? We know who lied to us. Then we go full tilt back the other way, and we kick the insurance companies in, kick them in the teeth.
Yeah. And all the while, Texas is looking better and better. Hate to say it. I'm a Louisiana guy, but anyway.
Wyoming.
Yeah, Wyoming. Somewhere. All right. So let's get back on track. I don't even know how we got way over there. But anyway.
Well, we got two.
Well, go ahead.
Yeah, we got two places we can go. We can go to the Jeff Sadow and his article that he put out, or we can go to the Bossier City Police.
Let's see.
Let's go to the Bossier City Police because
okay.
Because ultimately where Jeff Sadow ends up, the police, public safety, city employees, you all need to be paying attention, and you need to understand the consequences of the charter commission. You need to understand the consequences. And if you care about, your pay, you should care about the charter commission, because the result of not having an adequate charter, the result of not having term limits, that's all reflected in your pay and how you're viewed as an employee of the city of Bossier. Bottom line.
Yes, it is. All right. So, hold on a second. How did the insurance deal shake out? You left us hanging. Hold on, Duke. Mr. Womack, our good friend, Mr. David Womack from down there around Elm Grove, Sobo area. Tie up the loose end for him. How did that insurance deal shake out? We don't know.
Well, David, sources say it is yet to be determined.
Oh, we're hanging too. Not just you, David. All right. Let me, while we're starting to talk about the Fraternal Order of the Police and the Bossier PD, I'm going to start pulling up Sadow's article just to get prepared because, of course, naturally I'm ill prepared. All right. So anyway, start us off, Mr. Lowry.
Well, I'm winding up somebody because people are texting me now.
That didn't take long.
No, it didn't take long at all. So people are getting wound up already. I mean, note to folks, if you start texting me during the middle of the show, not going to quite get to you. So let's go to start this thing off. Let's go to the Bossier FOP Pay Raise letter that went out, and I think folks need to know. Pretty strong letter, and it's kind of wordy and kind of long, but basically what the FOP is describing. Yeah, I know. Am I moving around too much?
Yeah,
the FOP,
I'm chasing you. I got you. Go.
The FOP is describing the state of things to be a policeman in Bossier, and for a lot of y'all, I don't know if you realize it. So, I wasn't showing off Popo. I don't consider myself that because I didn't do it full time. But I did go and experience what these guys experience. And I can tell you, I wouldn't wish it on my worst enemy. It is a miserable job. Whatever you do for a living, and take the part of that job that you hate the most, multiply it times 10. Being a police sucks. It sucks. I mean, the freaking paperwork is ridiculous. It's just ridiculous.
It's not just that. Let me give him my 2 cents, and then we can go down the path on the pay stuff. Look, I've been critical of the police before, but I also understand that they have a job to do, and unfortunately, they have to deal a lot with elements of our society that, let's just say, aren't always so nice. Look, if I get pulled over for speeding, I was speeding. I'm going to try to get my insurance, my license ready, whatever, have the awkward little exchange. Do you get in the car, stay out of the car, or whatever, and going about my business. But I understand that, whether it's Bossier Police Department, Caddo, or Shreveport, any of them, they got to deal with people that sometimes aren't so nice.
Yeah, I hear it all the time. And people are like, man, that cop was an asshole. And some of them are. Some of them are, they're
absolute.
They absolutely are. Some of them get the power trip. Yep, they do, or whatever. But you know what's even worse? What's even worse is you realize that, and we showed this, I mean, I would have that attitude too if, the freaking little egg roll express down there off of Airline Drive, I can make more money going in there cooking egg rolls than pulling somebody over that's going to bitch at me about pulling me over. I'd have a bad attitude too. And
Yeah,
and
I
and
gotta
oh, by
agree
the
with you.
way, I might just on my next call get shot. Okay, enough of beating the drum here. But so go to that letter. The FOP puts
All
out,
right.
this letter
All
and
right.
and bas
Wait a minute. So I got to catch back up. All right, here we go. The FOP salary deal. Okay, hold on just a
no,
second. So, no.
you're jumping ahead. See, the
The
FOP pay
FOP
raise.
pay raise. Okay. I'm looking at the files, not at the notes at the moment. All right.
See,
So,
we are just
I'll,
reaffirming our amateur status as journalists, guys. That's what we're doing.
yeah, we are. Hold on a minute. Let me do that. Oh, we don't need to talk about that. And of course, she ain't on the show tonight, although it was an interesting conversation with her. So let me get rid of her. Why can't my little. Oh, come on. You've got to
Well,
be
I'm going to
kidding me.
start
Go away,
reading
Tiffany.
while you
Okay.
get it up here. And I'm going to skip the
Yeah. All right.
first paragraph and I'm going to jump to the second paragraph. And here's what I'm going to start reading it. The shortage
Go
of
ahead.
police officers is a very real issue, and the Bossier City Police Department is not immune to that issue. The majority of people who get into law enforcement do so for their community. When we take this job, we know we are not going to get rich doing it. I totally agree with that. It was the same with firemen when I was down there. You took the job. It was always said, you're not going to get rich, but you'll have great benefits and a good retirement. Well, that's not so much. That's not the case anymore. However, the Bossier City Police Department is the lowest paid department in our area. A new officer with a family brings home less than $1,000 after taxes and deductions every 2 weeks. The average Bossier City police officer works anywhere from 15 to 24 hours in extra off duty jobs a week just to get by. We see other agencies getting more money and more incentives for their officers. Law enforcement candidates can go to work for the Bossier Sheriff's Department and make more money, have more incentives, and work less calls for service, less work, more pay. When younger officers leave the department, their number one reason is pay. Bossier City has Barksdale Air Force Base, riverboat casinos, land based casinos, a horse race track, the Louisiana Boardwalk, and the East Bank area. At any given time, Bossier City could have up to 100,000 people in the area. Now, this one, I get this one. I get this one a lot. Bossier City police officers have worked over 300 wrecks on I-20 since the construction began.
Wow.
Bossier Sheriff and State Police did not work those wrecks. We did. Our officers are tired, overworked, underpaid, and feel underappreciated. When you need the police, Bossier City Police is there to help. Where is our help? Question mark. Who helps us when we need it? We are asked daily what the FOP is going to do to help get us a pay raise. We have a duty to our members. That's the meat and potatoes of the right there. That's it. And
Yeah, and look, they've got some valid points.
we'll go to the pay scale. Just show the pay on that next slide that we've got. The FOP salary, and let's show that and let's put it in perspective for people.
All right, so let me
Because
get this adjusted a little bit. This is according to the Fraternal Order of Police. All right, so Louisiana State Police monthly starting salaries $46.85.64. Kenner Police $45.58.33. Again, these are monthly. DeSoto Parish Sheriff $48.02.33. That's post. Caddo Parish Sheriff $36.68.57. Lake Charles Police $36.19.20. Bossier Parish Sheriff $35.50. Shreveport Police $34.28.62. DeSoto Parish Sheriff $34.75.17 non-post. Regional Airport Police $32.81.64. Houghton Police 323640. LSU Hospital Police, 323053, and that's arguably a pretty dangerous job. Bossier City Police is way down there at 3133. Is
What
this true?
what did David Montgomery say in that audio? Welcome to Shreveport. We're not even to Shreveport's level, King David.
Oh, wow.
And it's your fault. I'm just going to say it. It's your fault. And as Jeff Sadow says, all the graybeards, you guys, even since I was there for your whole tenure, I mean, we're talking about spanning over 30 years. You guys have used the public safety, the police and fire as the tool and wedge against the city. Oh, I'm just lying. I'm just making that up. Well, I tell you what, just in case I'm a jackwagon and I don't know what I'm talking about, I did a little homework. In fact, I went back and I pulled a lot of your comments. I mean, this is ridiculous. This is Bossier City. As George DeMint used to say, you know, the jewel in the crown. He was talking of public safety. What happened to the days of Bossier City when George DeMint described, you know, our public safety as being the jewel in the crown?
Well, I mean, look, this is, I mean, the only thing that's not above the Bossier City Police and pay scale is a mall rent-a-cop. And that's no slight on the Bossier City PD. I mean, I didn't realize that they were so far down the scale. I really don't. Look, our good friend Ryan Haggett, we've been on the soapbox. $400,000 that they wasted on that ugly monument could have given major raises. Yes, sir, it could have. All right. So you want me to go ahead and get the videos queued up, or are we ready to go to that?
Let's get the videos. Let's just jump right into it. And so what we've done, guys, is we went back to all of the council meetings here recently. We went back and we pulled up the most significant points regarding this discussion around pay and around, you know, just all of it, and put the pieces together. And here's what I would contend, and this is what I hope that showing these comments and showing this video is going to reflect to you is that, you know, you're just a tool. You will continue to be a tool that's used against the public. That's been the idea all along. It's not that you've been valued, but you're a tool. You're when we need a renewal, and you have a renewal coming up for the fire and police. When you have a renewal coming up, it's kind of like you got to hang that carrot right there in front of the donkey being the police and the fire department, that if y'all want that money, you've got to get this passed, or else, you know, it going to face the consequences. You got to get it done. And all while you're going to sit here and you're only going to take the salary that you saw. You're the lowest paid around.
Yeah. Okay. So I've got the January 16th meeting pulled up. Are you in that one and want to do a live deal so you can hit play, or do I need to scroll down, and which is fine. Do I need to scroll down and find all the timestamps?
My apologies, folks. I was not prepared, and I should have been prepared.
Got you.
You did get me. I wasn't prepared.
Well, I can jump us to the first mark. So this is the 113 when will public have another opportunity to review it? Are you ready for me to hit play?
Yep, go ahead and hit play and play it.
When would members of the public have another opportunity to discuss this, and you looked into it and the results were?
Well, in addition to the opportunity they'll have in the election, which will be the ultimate opportunity they'll have to speak on the renewal, which is not a tax increase, it's a renewal of the existing millages for fire and police. It has to go before the State Bond Commission as well, and that's an open public meeting, and so the public will have an opportunity then on this same issue.
Thank you.
Okay, you stop it. So basically what Chris Smith was asking, at what point on this renewal will the public, or, and when he's saying in the public, he's talking about fire police or anybody that cares about the fire police, when you're going to get the opportunity to say something else about this renewal, in which I got to ask, I got to say it, ding, 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 1051, all of y'all, and FOP, were you in these meetings?
Yeah.
Should the renewal have been more to accommodate for raises? I'm sure that we didn't just today discover that our pay is substandard. I mean, this was on January the 16th. We knew maybe the renewals should have been increased or something or another. Something should have changed to be able to give pay raises and to bring us up to a different standard. But Chris Smith asked, when will people get the opportunity to address this? To which Richard Ray said, oh, well, if y'all want, you can go to Baton Rouge and you can say something at the bond meeting. Otherwise, the next chance you get will be at the ballot box. There's your opportunity.
Okay, so you got live control if you want to jump us to the next one, or I can do it either way.
Yeah, so the next thing was Jeff Darby, and he asked a pretty significant question. Let's listen.
Additional questions?
Mr. President, I want to ask Ms. McGraw, did we get a response on my inquiry
Concerning?
referring the millage options?
Yes, sir, I forwarded that to you.
What was
All
that
right,
response?
bear with us, folks, because I am fixing to shoot us into overdrive to get us up to where there's a little bit of a pause here.
Wow, look at you. You're Mr. Techno Marvel. You increased us to 3 times speed.
Wow.
I believe so. We're asking if it could be increased, the amount could be increased.
If you're having trouble finding it, I have the email here.
Well, what
At least the
happened
email
was
that I sent to you.
Jeff Darby was the only one that inquired about changing the way that the renewal was to increase it.
And I copied Mr. Darby. This was on
And
January
I
11th.
suspect it was to seek to give pay raises to the police and fire. And he's trying to raise that issue right now. So Darby was on your team.
Good play-by-play action.
Okay, it is my understanding that Councilman Darby has asked whether the millages up for renewal could be renewed at a higher rate than the current rate. The millages that are dedicated to police and fire can be renewed at a higher rate. But the mayor and both Chief Zagone and Chief Haugen have requested that the millage rates be placed on the ballot at the current rate so that the public will understand that this is a renewal and not an increase in the property tax rates. This is something the council can consider and discuss at next week's council meeting, but the mayor has requested that the resolution be submitted at the current rates of 8.32 and 2.71 mils.
Okay.
All right. Did you catch that, Rex? Did all of y'all catch that?
You'll have to make sure I did because I was checking an email from a viewer.
Okay, so basically, Jeff Darby sent a request in and was saying, look, what about let's raise the millage rate to be able to try to address this issue? He was trying to do it right then. But the mayor, the police chief, and the fire chief all were like, now, okay, look, maybe they didn't, but you just heard it in this council meeting. I didn't hear the mayor step up and say, no, that's not accurate. I didn't hear the fire chief or the police chief step up and say, no, that's not the case. But either they all just got thrown under the bus and they allowed themselves to be thrown under the bus, but basically they said, no, we don't want to raise the rates to be able to do what needs to be done. We want it to stay the same so that the public won't see that it's going to be an increase.
So we have had a couple of comments about being an election year and all that. Looks like a little shenanigans going on as usual.
I just want to make sure everybody understands that. So, the mayor, police chief, and the fire chief don't want to raise rates to try to address pay and manpower. They don't want to do it. I don't know that I agree or disagree, but what I will say is they all realize we have a problem in Bossier City. Pay is substandard, staffing is low. There is a problem, and if we don't have enough money for whatever reason that is, I mean, well, then somebody say why it is that we don't have enough money.
Well, look,
Where is the money if we don't have enough money?
our good friend Michael Ferris says from Pelican Training says, how about cut spending elsewhere? Well, I hope that's a rhetorical question, Mr. Ferris, because I mean, where else are they going to cut it? Are they going to cut it, as our friend Ryan Haygood mentioned? Are they going to cut the monument? Are they going to cut out and, well, they didn't build the YMCA, but the darn sure tried, and I have a feeling they're going to try again. Are they going to try to, what, are they going to cut the baseball fields? I mean, they're trying to build a bigger baseball field, yet we can't pay our policemen and arguably our firemen.
So, all right. So I want to play devil's advocate here, Rex, and for all of y'all watching, I want to exercise your minds, all of you. So I want all of you to close your eyes, and I want you to think about.
Let me do that. Okay.
I want you to think about being in some place, let's say out in the Midwest. Well, let's just use my favorite state, Wyoming. You're in some little town, rural Wyoming. You have maybe a dozen people. And okay, my last name is McCoy and yours is Hatfield, Rex. And I'm out there in the country and I'm cooking liquor and I'm trying to sell it. Well, you start cutting into my business. And then I get the wild idea. I was like, well, I can't have him cutting into my business. So I've got to do something about that. Oh, I know what. I need to get some government to help me and I'll control the government and I can regulate it. So what am I going to do? I know. I'm going to go build a statue. That'll take care of it. Isn't that the first thing that I would try to do when I do government? If I'm going to use government, a statue, won't that get it? Or a sidewalk?
Yeah. So,
What am I going to
monuments to
do?
themselves. What the fall of Rome?
What
They
am I
built
going
a lot of
to
statues.
We're not going to Rome. What's the first thing that I would try? What would you try to do?
It certainly wouldn't be build statues.
Okay, I'm gonna save everybody time. You're gonna want to go. We need a police. He's somebody stealing from somebody. We got to get the popo, right? That's the first start.
Right.
My point is, from
Gotta
all
have
of
the
that,
marshal, the sheriff in town, or police department.
yeah. If you're forming government, the first responsibility, and I've said this before, the first responsibility of government, whether it be federal, state, whatever, is public safety.
Yeah, if you can't protect the people, then you can't, the rest of it doesn't matter. Now, I will say, let me get on my soapbox for just a second. I don't believe the job of the police is actually to protect us, at least as far as future protection. Their job is to enforce the laws, and by doing that, by de facto standard, helps protect us.
Absolutely. But the first rule of the government, their first responsibility is public safety.
Yes.
But in Bossier City, public safety is not the first consideration. It's not the priority. In Bossier City, the priority is the Walter O. Bigby carriageway. It's Man Shack. It's buildings, concrete, and all of those things.
Wait a minute, I got to stop you, Duke. Hold on.
Okay.
It's not only the Walter O. Bigby carriageway, it is the Walter O. Bigby monument, the Tower of Tax Dollars, with all the councilmen's, well, not all the current ones, but at least some of the current and past councilmen's names all over the place. That's where their priorities are. Okay, sorry, Duke.
Well, I mean, look, it's not to say that government's responsibility isn't, to ensure that we've got, water system and development of roads and all of that. We, the people, we elect to, allow government to do those things to make our lives better. We choose to contribute monies to pay for those things, but we choose to give government the ability to enforce the laws first. That's the original intent of government in the first place, is to protect us and to help us. I mean, I'm using words here, and we don't agree. We do agree, but we're losing sight of that. And when you're so if you say, you can't have your cake and eat it too. You can't say that, oh, I respect the fire and police and public safety, and you make it substandard to every other thing in city government.
Hey,
You
the
can't
proof.
do
Look,
that.
it's the old saying. It's real easy. The proof's in the pudding. Really, you can't. I agree with you 1,000%. You can't say you're for the fire and the police and the first responders and hoorah and parade them up there every now and then to give them out awards, and then don't pay them. The electric company doesn't care about their awards that you parade them in front of the city council meeting for the public to see and hoorah them. The electric company cares whether the policeman can pay his electric bill, and his wife and kids worry about food on the table. They can't eat the awards you give them. The awards are nice, but where's the rest of it? All right, sorry, Duke.
Why? I don't know why. This is the paradox of humanity. Whatever you just said spawned a memory in mind of one time being on Trauma 6. Trauma 6, where I got a random needle stick from some drug addict down in Old Bossier, started an IV on him, and he went to fighting me after, being on drug induce or whatever. And somehow or another, the needle ended up being stuck in me. I'll always wonder, as a result of that needle stick, am I going to suffer a consequence of that? Fortunately, I didn't immediately. I've lived a good life, but as a public person in public safety, you always have to wonder in that risk. You're doing that for less money than you could make at
Flipping hamburgers nearly.
the egg roll express place.
Oh, look, you could go to Buc-ee's. You could go to Buc-ee's and make more money.
I don't get it.
I need to look up the Buc-ee's salary deal. We should have stuck Buc-ee's on that list.
Yeah.
Anyway.
So is that the next replay, the 1/30/2024?
Let's see. We are still on the January 16th.
All right. Jump to the next one, the January 30th council meeting. And we're going to fast forward along through a couple of meetings here, and we're going to pay. So at this meeting, this was when the revelation that we have to have a compensation study, or there was a report regarding the compensation study, or it was the first introduction or something. So we'll go to the 22:12 mark, and if you want to hit play, and I think that's just where they announce it, but we'll let everybody hear that and go from there.
Here we go.
Reading.
So moved. Second.
First by Councilman Darby, second by Councilman Montgomery. Comments from the audience? Questions from the council?
Mr. President, I wanted to say something about this. As the council know, that this is a project or initiative that we talked about last year, 2023. So I'm glad that we finally got this on the fast track. What I don't know is the timeline. Mr. Ray, do you know the timeline on it?
Yes, Mr. Darby, I believe SSA, in the consulting services agreement that they've submitted, it would commence, because it's already in the budget, it's already technically commenced. SSA has begun their data gathering, but it says that it'll terminate on September 1st, 2024.
Okay, September. All right.
All right, stop it. So you heard Darby. So in 2023, they started talking about it, and they didn't get around to actually taking action on it until, here in 2024, January the 30th, basically February the 1st. And it's not going to have a conclusion until September of 2024. This study to tell them that, oh, we're underpaying everybody. I mean, does
Let's
it
go
take
do a study to do something that, yeah, literally anybody, well, I won't say anybody on that up there in their chairs is qualified to do, but at least some of the ones in the chairs are well qualified to do. Heck, send Amanda Nottingham to do the comparison. It's not hard to do.
I mean, okay. So jump to the 2506 mark, and this was an interesting comment. I think this was Chris Smith. So go ahead and hit play.
Here we go.
President, I want them to be able to do the work diligently, but my question would be, do they anticipate this lasting all the way to September 1st? Because my big concern is that department heads and the administration start working on their budget for 2025 in June and July. And if we're going to take the results of this into consideration moving into next year's budget, we would need to have information relayed to us way before September 1st. And so that would be a concern. During y'all's conversation with them, Mr. Ray, did that topic come up of when we start working on our budget and how imperative it is we have these numbers?
All right, you can stop there.
Mr. Smith, no, I was not, I don't.
So, Chris is basically, he's pointing out the fact that, okay, our department heads, meaning the fire chief and the police chief, they're working on budgets in July, but yet here we are, as a council, we hung our hat on that, okay, well, we're going to do something about pay. We're going to do a study. And oh, by the way, that study won't be done until September, but we're going to be working on budgets in July. And Chris is pointing out, says, okay, is this thing going to move fast? Is it going to move slow? Because if we're going to do anything in any fast timeline or try to get something done in the immediate future, we need to be thinking about it here by July or before July. And that's what he's trying to hone in on, to which pretty much didn't get an answer. It was just wag the dog, crickets. It's going to drag out to September. It's drawing it out. And why is it drawing it out? Well, I say it's drawing it out because y'all got to pass this renewal. You get the firemen and policemen. Y'all got to get out there and get this thing done. Y'all got to get it passed. It's on you.
Oh yeah. If we can't raise them, it's because you didn't renew the millage, renew the tax, and it's not on us. Blah blah blah. Yeah, it's a shell game.
So there's a little bit of dialogue went back and forth, and if you jump to the 2631 mark, an interesting comment was made by King David that if we need to do something, and let's just listen to what he said. I don't want to put words in his mouth. Let's listen to what he says.
I'd like to just offer an alternative to that we always can amend the budget if in fact we're not able to complete the complete study. We can offer an amendment on the floor.
That's true.
Before, during, or after the process. So I'm just pointing that out, that we do have that ability, and we can keep in mind when we're drafting, or when they present the budget and it's drafted, that we look at alternative sources of revenue for potential increases within each department.
Okay, you can stop it.
I want to make a point before you address what he said. I want to make a point. Is he on Prozac or something? I mean, I'm no drug guy, but isn't that like, one that levels you out? I mean, he has been so calm the last 3 or 4 months. I don't understand this. Anyway,
let's not get carried away. I think we're talking about the same meeting because there's already been meetings since this one. This was January.
Okay. All right. Anyway, so
I mean, I get what you're saying. I mean, he is. I mean, it's like I think I said it a show or two ago. I mean, look, this was the new David. I actually like the councilman that I was hearing.
New and improved David. All right, but back to the meat of what he said. I'm sorry I took off on that tangent. But back to the meat of what he's saying there, that they can amend the budget at any point in time, waiting on this study or based on the results of this study. It's pretty simple. You ain't got to study it. Pay the people.
He says there's alternative sources of revenue that he's basically saying right there. We just amend it. You know, when the budgets come in July.
They could do it when they want, right?
We could just do it when we want. Now,
I mean, they could technically amend it right now, right?
Look, play it. I want you to play again what he says. I want you to play that part one more time, because then we're going to jump forward to the next council meeting, and then I want you to hear his words at the next council meeting. But play that part one more time.
Okay. Repeat, rewind. Here we go.
I'd like to just offer an alternative to that we always can amend the budget if in fact they were not able to complete the complete study. We can offer an amendment on the floor.
That's true.
Before, during, or after the process. So I'm just pointing that out, that we do have that ability, and we can keep in mind when we're drafting, or when they present the budget and it's drafted, that we look at alternative sources of revenue for potential increases within each department.
Okay.
All right. So y'all heard that again.
Yeah, and everybody may have their ideas as to what he was meaning, but I have something that might be going to catch you off guard of what he might have actually. That I don't know that anybody else is thinking it. If you're a public safety person, you may have read between the lines, but if you're not, you may not have read between the lines. So let's jump forward to the 3/12/2024 meeting.
Okay, give me just a second. I'm going to actually temporarily switch screens, and let me pull that meeting up. So bear with me just a moment here. Let me copy that link, and let me do a little magic here and put that link in, and I'll have us there in just a momento. And let me go back. Okay, so this is the 3/12 meeting. And I've got the live review going if you want to do that. If not, just tell me where to start.
Okay. I think I have it ready right here. So we showed this, I think, last show or the show before. We showed this, but we didn't. We're going to show it again and catch folks up. So there's some commentary going back and forth. You have another department that's moving money around to give pay raises, and there was some interesting commentary here. So listen in.
President, this is becoming a kind of a trend here, that when they promote somebody and then they don't backfill a position in somebody, and then they give the money and give everybody pay raises in that department. I don't see it's really fair to all the other departments that don't have that luxury in order to give their staff and the people that work in that department a pay raise. That's just my thoughts. I'm sure it's not a popular thought, but that's my thoughts on it.
Well, to your point, I think that we do that in other departments.
No, that's what I was saying, that it's becoming a trend now, that's what they're doing, not filling a position, and then the money that's left over is spread out amongst the other employees in that department.
But I thought you said that the other departments are not able to do that.
If they don't have somebody that's leaving.
But I mean, that has happened historically. I'll just give you what we, prior to, in the past, we'll leave it at that the council has sought to provide a pot of money to these departments. And if they feel as though that their department and how they need to run it, that they need to increase their salaries, we, as a council in the past, have allowed that latitude, regardless of which department it was, to retain the personnel that they need to operate.
And they delete that position too.
Correct.
Now, okay. So if you're a popo or firefighter in Bossier and you hadn't been there over 20 years, you're not gonna remember. But that latitude that he's talking about, let me bring it full circle. That latitude is the choice to maintain your current pay or to be laid off.
Yeah, that's a lot of latitude.
In the past, this council, they've allowed the latitude to the department heads. They gave you your budget, and y'all can pick between everybody taking a pay cut or members being laid off. And I I think that's where he was heading. I think that was what he was meaning. But the thing is you don't 100% know what he was meaning. I mean, you can't know, but that's what he meant in the past. That's what they did in the past.
All right, but let me play devil's advocate for just a minute. And I think we may have been down this path in the previous show. But what is wrong with, let's just say I'm the fire chief. All right, here's your budget, fire chief. It's $1 million for payroll. All right. And inside of that $1 million, you have to provide quarterly reports or whatever to the council, whatever. And you can hire and fire as you see fit within civil service guidelines, or if there's anything that's, kind of an overarching deal on that. In other words, you can't just hire one guy for $1 million. You got to do whatever, pay appropriate salaries. What is wrong with that? And saying, now look, if that $1 million, if you go over that, you've either got to come back to us and we're probably going to tell you, no, that's your budget for this year. What is wrong with
that? Well, I'm going to say something different. I'm going to go back to that charter commission meeting where I went and you were there, Rex, and I made the comment, charter commission, if you want to do something, untie public safety to the political whims of elected officials in Bossier. Tie the pay of public safety to the Southern average. Take this question off the table. Take it off the table. Let's not even allow public safety to be a question in a debate.
That'll never fly, Duke. You know why?
Well, tell me why.
It's too easy. It's hitting the easy button, like in the commercial. Easy button.
That's right. So let's, Brian Hammonds, he didn't let up. This was when him and the King were kind of going at it again. And Brian, after a little bit more deliberation, Brian has a pretty good comeback here.
So in that same retrospect, if our police chief and fire chief come to us and say they need an extra $3 million in order to maintain and keep employees, are we going to give it to them?
I don't think you're comparing apples and oranges. We're talking about an expense neutral proposition. You're talking about increasing the budget by $3 million. Am I correct?
Yes, sir. It's a net neutral.
Yeah, no, I understand it's a net neutral, but I mean, it's just.
And fire and police get 2% guaranteed annually, so.
Well, they get the 2% annually, so all you fire and police, y'all should just sit down and shut up.
Suck it up, Buttercup.
Suck it up. You get your 2% every year. But that's all right. 1051 and FOP, y'all go ahead and keep carrying that water for the King. Sorry.
2% is state mandated and covers nothing. It's bullshit, says Christopher Davis.
I'm just saying, you get your 2%. You just heard him say it.
Yeah. That's right, Duke. I don't want to hear any more griping from a retired fireman on this show. Suck it up, Buttercup.
So, yeah, and so you heard in one video ago, the King said, all we got to do is just, we can amend the budget, and then now when Hammond says, so if they need $3 million, we just need to give them $3 million, and you heard David, I don't know that he was like, yeah, we could just amend the budget and give them $3 million. And no, that wasn't what he was saying there.
No, that's not what he meant. Just 6 weeks later.
That was two different things that I heard him saying, but Chris Smith tries to redirect it. So listen to Chris Smith.
I think the point you might be trying to make, and I don't want to
No,
speak.
I made it.
Speak for you, is that police and fire, they have to fill all their positions. They don't have the luxury to get rid of
Yeah.
positions to spread wealth around, I think is the point you were making.
All right, any
And
additional
more-
Well,
comments?
I mean, I want things to be clear because we have
got the
had
finger going.
in the past where, and Chief Haugen's here and Chief Sagon, where they have actually restructured, and this goes back many years, where they may have felt as though their departments were top-heavy, that too many people had migrated, and we needed more boots on the ground, and correct me if I'm wrong, the two chiefs, that, you know, we let those people, through normal attrition, disappear so that we had more money to put back with boots on the ground. Is that correct?
Wait a minute. Did he say layoff?
Hold on.
Did that,
I'm
did
trying
that
to find the puppet strings running from the ceiling that have animated him. I mean, I talk with my hands too, but I mean, anyway. All right, sorry, Duke. Go ahead.
Well, I'm just saying, was that everything but saying layoff that he was saying right there? I mean,
Pretty much.
I mean, you know, latitude and you know, we'll hear about Lanyap here in a little bit, but well, maybe we should go ahead and hear about Lanyap. I mean,
Let's do it. What the heck?
1654. Let's play a little bit more. I want to make sure I didn't miss something because there is a point where the king is talking about reoccurring revenue, and that's important.
And I do recall, this was prior to Chief Haugen. I don't know if Chief Haugen has done it, but I recall a couple of years ago, I know that they eliminated a jailer position or two to do that very thing, that they did do that and eliminated a jailer position and spread that money around. So it does.
So to sum this up for you guys, kind of what they're talking about is if you eliminate positions, the extra money that you then have in the budget, you can take and then spread out amongst all the other employees to bump their pay up, if that's what you have to do, rather than seeking a source of funding or revenue to overall spend more money on the employees that you have. And it's a short-term thing, you know, cut positions, take that money that you've already budgeted, distribute it out amongst the existing employees to give a temporary bump in pay. And probably with no plan to make anything permanent. That's what I see. That's the code that I'm seeing. I don't know if anybody else is seeing what I'm seeing, but I mean, look, that's what historically happened in Bossier. I was there. I remember walking on the levees. Rex, your subdivision, Stockwell Carriage Oak, spent 2 days straight. I think it was 2 days. It may have been 3 days straight out
3
there,
days, yeah.
hauling sandbags on that levee out there with guys who just a week or two or so after the flood hauling sandbags because they put all the recruits out there with me. And we were doing all the sandbags out there. And then they laid them all off in budget cuts. And you know what? Those guys went to Shreveport.
Yeah.
I mean,
well, I would like to bring up that Christopher Davis, I showed the comment, invoked Jesus with this. And one of my favorite verses in the Bible is Jesus and the money changers in the temple. You know what the interesting thing about that is? Jesus took the time to fashion his own whips and then beat the hell out of them. I'm just saying, while he flipped up the tables. So if Jesus walked in, I think he would flip over the table at the podium there and then start beating the hell out of them with a whip.
Yeah, but look, while Chris Davis had a good one, David Jones has put it over the top tonight.
Oh, look, it's Mr. David in the comments. I feel so lonely. He hasn't reached out to me lately. It is easy. Put man check over public safety. Wait,
Bingo.
Are you talking? Well, wait. Are you talking about over as in let them manage the public safety?
Why did we not think of that? Jeez.
I gotta say, hey, they've whipped that Cypress district in line with the permitting process and streamlined that. Why can't they do public safety?
Ruttenbuck can wear one badge on his left chest and one badge on his right chest. He can
He
go
have his
both
own police
ways.
car. Let's give him a police car.
You can
And
put
a
him
fire
right.
truck. He can have his own fire truck with lights, and he can go to lunch anywhere he wants and just blow through the red lights with those flashing red lights you guys use.
You got to get him a Tahoe. He's got to have a Tahoe.
Oh yeah, well, give him a cop car, a fire truck, and a Tahoe.
Well, I don't know.
It's the trifecta.
We can't let him have a gun. We can't do that. We'll give him a fire
Yeah.
extinguisher, but we can't
We'll
give him.
We'll give him some
I'm
pepper
sorry.
spray. We'll
I
give
got to
him
go
a
up
pepper.
down Bent Road too much. Again, I can't trust giving him a gun.
All right, we'll limit him there. We'll give him some pepper spray. I'm all
He
about
might-
the Second Amendment, but I agree, pepper spray for him.
He might whack me out here at a Cypress district meeting. I don't know. I can't trust that. So anyway, but hey, we're not through with that meeting. Darby's got a zinger in here. He goes after Chief Zagoni. Here we go.
Max, Mr. President, I asked the chief if he could share if there's any net neutral or any type of increase with any of those promotions.
The people retiring, there may be a 3-6 month time where we're paying 2 at that position until they retire, and then it'll go back to just like it is right now. But we didn't hire the first quarter of the year to give us lagniappe to prepare for these situations that are arising. This is all starting June 28th with the first one retiring, one in August.
Yeah.
So
let me get a comment out while it's in my train of thought. Do you know? Are we turning potential firefighters away from the fire department in Bossier City? Are we literally like we have a line of candidates and we're having to turn them away? Do you know if that's the case?
You know what enables the graybeards, as Jeff Sadow says, on Bossier to continue to retain a large portion of employees in Bossier? Is family. It's, and the fire service has always been, you see it in New York, you see it in Chicago, you see it in a lot of the major fire departments, and it truly is a family thing. And where it's not about the money, it's a legacy thing. And that is somewhat Bossier has become that way, that there's a lot of kids of retired firemen that there's a legacy going there. So it isn't as much about the money as it is about doing the job. And I know to a lot of people you can't get it. I don't expect you to get it, but I am telling you that is a thing. It absolutely is.
All right, but let me switch that question over to the police department. Do we have a line of candidates for Bossier City PD that we're literally turning away? I mean, newsflash, correct me if I'm wrong, isn't there a shortage of officers? Aren't we like 20 officers short or something like that, if I remember the numbers vaguely?
I mean, I couldn't say. I mean, we've asked the police chief of Bossier City to come on for the current police chief to come on for an interview, to which we have gotten no response. And I would like to know that answer. I agree with Chris Davis. I think hell no. I don't think there's a line of people. The police department's a little different, man. It is a thankless job, and if I had a son, I'm damn sure not going to tell him to go become a policeman. I may tell him to suck it up and go be a fireman, but there ain't no way. I think me and my son would have a fist fight if he told me he wanted to become a Bossier City policeman. I think I would. Me and him would go to Fist City. I'll just leave it at that. I'm going to try to keep it family friendly.
They're talking about, suck it up with the 2% pay raise, which, state mandated deal or whatever. We don't have, my point is, we don't have let me see if I can say this the right way. we don't have a line of people waiting to become Bossier City police officers. And you're right, certainly a thankless job. Takes a certain type of person to even want to be a policeman, I should imagine, because it is a very thankless job. Again, hit the easy button like you suggested. You know, tie it to the cost of living and all that. Just make it easy. Adjust the pay up. You've literally got money budgeted for 20 something more officers or whatever the number is, somewhere around 20. And yet we can't fill those positions. Newsflash, you morons. Take that money and spread it out to the existing employees, get the pay up, and get people in line wanting to potentially become a Bossier City police officer. Am I incorrect in my thinking?
No, you're right. You're right. And I'm going to close on this subject with a couple of points. I'm going to make a recommendation, and I've already said this already to folks, to the politicians in Bossier. You know, I'm going to make a recommendation to the politicians. I'm going to make a recommendation to the policemen, to all of you rank and file out there. And I'm going to tell you what you need to do. And I'm going to tell you your flaw, and you all can be pissed at me. You can hate me. You can not like me, but I'm going to tell you the truth. I'm not going to freaking lie to you. I'm going to tell you how the cow ate the cabbage here. But to the politicians, stop using public safety as the tool against the public. Once and for all in Bossier City, make the statement, put the exclamation point. King David, I'm talking to you. You control the power to do it. If you wanted it done, you could have done it a long time ago, but you say you're going out the door. Put the exclamation point on your career and say that it was not all a lie all these years and all this spin, that public safety was the priority, and it is the priority of Bossier City. Tie the firemen and policemen's pay to the Southern average. Tie it to the Southern average. Take it out of politics. Take the politics out of it altogether. I'm not going to hold my breath. To the policeman,
disagree with that.
To the policeman, you guys are your worst enemy. You all fight between each other more so than any group of people I've ever seen. You guys, you're cliquish. Everybody's cliquish. There's all group. The firemen, we were cliquish. We were.
Yeah.
But we all came together, especially when it came to stuff like this, we were better organized. You guys got to put your differences aside. You got to all get on the same page, and you've got to advocate for the same thing. You can't have dissension. You can't be cutting each other. You got to all get on the same page, and you got to be advocating for the exact same thing. I'll tell you an example. I was on, this was funny, Rex. And I think I told this story before on our show. Jack's quarters made a house fire. Captain on the fire truck. We get there, and I drove him to the fire scene. We get there, and it's a working house fire, 2-story house, topped out. I mean, you could see the fire from across the city. I mean, it was blowing and going. We get there on the scene, and it's only the captain and me. We get there, and the captain says, "Engine 2 to headquarters." He's like, "We got a working house fire." He said, "If you'll send us a fireman down here, we'll fight this fire." Because these city councilmen, we were short on manpower. They had laid off people. We didn't have enough people to even have on the fire trucks. But he said on the radio, he said, "If you'll send me a fireman, we'll fight this fire." And we literally stood there watching the house burning down until we got the manpower to be able to do the job. It's the same thing here. It's the exact same thing here. I hate to say that to the citizens of Bossier, but these officers should not put themselves in harm's way if they're not going to have the support of the administration of the city. I mean, this is a red line. It's a red line.
Yeah, I can't disagree with that at all. I mean, they are putting their lives on the line literally every day. And look, the firefighters do too. We all know that. But the policemen are dealing with, lower elements of the society most of the time trying to enforce the laws and do all that. And yeah, they need to take a stand.
They're doing what nobody else wants to do,
Yeah.
and it's a damn shame.
It is. All right. Now, with that part of it wrapped up, do we want to switch to that KSLA video?
Uh, you know, so the reason that I had that in there, and I don't know that we go to that or whatever, but so I think we just talk about it. So there was a recent KSLA article that went out, and I got to tell you, you know me, black helicopters here. I found it interesting that all of a sudden, right now, with the big debate on pay and issues going on within Bossier City, and you can look at this in a couple of different ways. The timing of putting this out there is suspect to me. Um, and it basically what it was you had allegedly a transient who was at the gas station on Airline Drive and Swan Lake and was harassing people at the gas station, calling people names and doing a bunch of stuff. And then ultimately the Bossier PoPo ended up getting there and they ended up catching up with the guy, I think proximal to Chick-fil-A. And as they caught up with the guy, he obviously wasn't following commands of the officer, to which ultimately the officer ended up pepper spraying him. The guy was obviously resisting, and the officer ended up using a baton. Somebody was standing out there videoing it, and they don't know what all had taken place, but it looks like this officer is using excessive force. So, from my perspective, it almost looks like a hit on the police in Bossier. Well, right now, where we're having a talk about pay. And
imagine that.
I've got two perspectives on this. One is your low pay, and I have no idea who this officer is, and I don't know the circumstances to say whether this officer was right, wrong, or whatever. But no matter what, all of you watching, I mean, automatically, everybody's got a phone, and an officer's trying to do his job. Automatically, he's suspected of not doing something wrong or whatever, right out of the gate, no
Yeah.
matter what.
Yeah, and look, I'm all about people videoing stuff and all that. Look, I'm a tech guy. I also believe strongly in the First Amendment, blah, 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 all that hoorah stuff. But then again, you need the full context. You're right. I would assume from the get-go that the guy was resisting or something happened that caused the officer to need to use or escalate the force applied to the suspect. But in today's society, with the context of many videos and commentary without the full context, unfortunately, a lot of people would think, oh no, well, the cop must have been using excessive force. I'm sure that guy didn't do anything. And the cop just started beating on him. And I've got this video pulled up. I'm not going to hit play unless you really want to, Duke. I want people to know that the video is out there and go read it. But I want, and maybe even watch the video, but watch it with the full context or thinking about what would be the full context of this.
Yeah, exactly. But that is my point about this is it doesn't matter any encounter that the Popo has, they are going to be forced into a situation where they are, no matter what, all of their actions are gone over with a fine-tooth comb. I'm no different. I'm no different. Rex, you're no different. I'm saying it as a matter of fact that any of us, anybody watching the show, even a law enforcement officer, if you had an interaction with another law enforcement officer, you're going to the job entails a high degree of oversight. I mean, you've got tons of cameras automatically, no matter what. Everybody is looking over. The pressure is immense, and the pressure is immense for freaking peanuts. Are you kidding me? Who would put themselves in this position?
And not just the oversight, you're dealing with people that sometimes you have to force them to do something that for whatever reason these folks don't want to do, whether they're on drugs, whether they're drunk, whether they're just belligerent, or all of the above. As a law enforcement officer, as a cop, sometimes you have to force people to do what they don't necessarily want to do. You try to go through the force continuum thing. You try to escalate it up nicely, but in the end, you don't want to. And you're right, dude, for peanuts, with a bunch of cameras watching and a bunch of people that'll show it without providing full context. And then the news media, and I'm not saying KSLA did. Honestly, I haven't read the whole article or anything or listened to the whole segment. But then you have people that are armchair quarterbacking and they only see a little snippet of it.
That's absolutely right. And you know, Chris Davis, I mean, look, if I were there, I don't care. I would have helped the guy. You know, I think that was a point he was saying. Look at all the cars around here. How many citizens stepped up there? This officer was having a right in the middle of Chick-fil-A in the grass next to the roadway, tons of cars coming by, and there's this altercation with the officer. How many people stopped to help the officer?
Wait, I can tell you why not, Duke, and this is the perfect bit of irony in all this. The reason they're not going to help the guy is because it's a dangerous situation, and if you go help the guy might could stab you. Maybe the guy has a gun. He might shoot you or whatever. So people are going to stand back because they don't want to get involved in the fight, yet they want to be critical of the officer that's trying to make the guy comply, who again might get stabbed, might get shot, or whatever the scenarios. It's like the perfect bit of irony here. And again, I'm all about people videoing and documenting things that happen in public places. I'm all about that. But to me, you're right. It's the irony of, if that was a single officer out there and he was struggling and didn't have backup and didn't have help on the way, I would be the first person, even if I was starting the video, to go help the cop first, then I'll get the video later. But unfortunately, that's not what most people do.
I will go back to everybody watching this. You know, our society, our government, everything is based off of the rule of law. And, you know, if we don't have the rule of law, which means that we have to have people to enforce the law, if we don't have that and we give all of that up and we don't have good people doing that, we've got nothing. And if our elected officials don't place a priority on our law enforcement and they don't make that the number one, you know, object of government, we've lost everything. And if we haven't lost everything, we're going to lose everything. It's only a matter of time. It's only a matter of time. And paying the lowest wage of anybody around, I mean, that is so negligent. I don't have words to describe it. I mean,
Well,
but
all right. I want to kind of bring this show a little bit full circle. So we started out talking, or one of the first subjects we were talking about was the situation in Shreveport and the sheriff's race over there. And, you know, kind of we alluded to the crime and over there, all that over there. I will say this. That video right there in that article is one of the reasons that the most of the crime, I'm not saying all of it, but most of it stays a few hundred yards on the other side of the river. Because the reputation of the Bossier cops is they will take on the perpetrator first and ask questions later. And the DA, you know, we've been critical of Schuyler's office, but one thing about it, the DA typically backs the cops first. Unless there's no other choice.
He does back the cops. He does, but I'm going to take a step back and I don't I mean, look, we do this show and we offend people, and a lot of the reputation that Bossier City has comes from the historical way that Bossier City has handled things. You still have officers in Bossier that still carry the old ways and still, um, you know, take care of business. But I'm going to say that the old school Bossier, that's what has Bossier's reputation. The modern day policing is getting away from the old ways, and all I know is I don't know that we're as tough as we used to be. I think we better start toughening up because the spillover from Shreveport, it's coming. I mean, I think we've already been seeing hints of it coming, but we're going to have to toughen up, and our elected officials, they're going to have to stand with our police. And I don't see them standing with them. I see them continuing to use them as a political tool. And that's the tragedy of this.
Well, that is correct. And Mr. Lowry, speaking of cameras, I am taking a picture right now while we're in the middle of the show.
I see you doing that, and I have no idea why you're doing that. So I'm just
Publicity
wondering.
purposes. Anyway.
We've been jabbering a ton, and I've seen some comments, and I'm really wondering, what do all of y'all think? I mean, do y'all think we're beating? I mean, David Jones, I mean, he says media does not sell a safe life; they sell ads. He's right.
He is right.
And he's right. I mean, but I'm just wondering, what do y'all think? Do you think that the elected officials in Bossier, do they take public safety serious? I mean, I can tell you this. I know David Jones, and I mean, maybe this is kissing your ass night, but I know when David Jones was on the council, he voted for public safety every time, regardless. But the current staff of public safety, I don't know so much.
Yeah, that's a good point. All right. So, I just put a link to Sadow's article on the Charter Commission, and I'll probably do a separate post for everybody on Bossier Watch to that. Do we want to go down the path of the Cypress District buoys just for a minute as we kind of start wrapping up?
Yeah, I don't think we're going to get to. I had a lot of notes built regarding, Jeff Sadow's article. You guys should go and read it. He's dead on the money. You got to read it. And I tell you what, next Tuesday we'll cover that part.
Yeah.
We'll come back to
Yeah.
this because I think it's going to last. I mean, the Charter Commission's not going to do anything. This isn't going to
Yeah.
change. But Jeff Sadow was dead on the money. And
Yeah.
we'll carry those notes over into next week.
Yeah, we'll share the article out. I just put it in the comments. We'll share the article out as a standalone post as well. And then I would challenge everybody watching to read the Sadow article. And then let's all get in on the conversation next week as we go through your notes and the stuff that you've researched and done, Duke. And we'll encourage everybody to come in on the comments educated by reading the article. How about that?
Yeah, so the Cypress Black Bayou, the no wake thing, during the week we got a phone call. I think you got it, and then I ended up getting it, of some citizens that heard us talking about one of our shows, about the Cypress District and the no wake buoys, and the fact that I was family-friendly show. I got to bite my tongue here. That I was complaining about my seawall that I'd spent so much money falling into the lake as a result of the no wake buoys being pulled up out here. To which, and I was griping. Let me back up a little bit. I was griping about you bass fishermen that have no respect for people that own land around the lakes. Using your boats like, your okay, I'm going to use this. Like you're Shirley Muldowney in a bass boat on Black Bayou next to my pier and seawall, and trying to see how far you can throw your rooster tail up into my yard to harass the ducks so that they skew up onto the deck of my house.
And you blasted property owners with your docks think you own the lake and can build it out there and take up, surface area of the lake all you want just because you bought property around the lake. I mean, we were ping-ponging back and forth with this. So how does that relate to the buoys?
But I pay an extra fee for that right to be able to do that. Do you pay that extra fee?
And all of the landowners combined times 8 don't begin to pay what the tax millage payers pay, which is 84 or whatever the number is percent of Bossier Parish. Oh.
You're right. You're onto something.
The math doesn't lie.
We need to increase that so that they don't have to ding me for that extra little fee for living here.
That's it. Y'all heard it, folks. Duke Lowry is for a tax increase right there. I got the sound, but that's going to be our newest Facebook reel, folks. Duke Lowry is for a tax increase.
I'm fine if you want to check out of having a backup water supply in case yours goes down in Bossier. I'm fine with that if that's what you're saying. We can agree to that.
Yeah. All right. But in all seriousness, so what have we found out so far about the buoys? Because I read the law and the statutes and kind of brushed up on it some, but give our viewers a little taste of what we're talking about.
We filed a public information request because what we wanted to know. Wait a minute. David Jones says, Duke, you got it so cheap. Oh, come on, David. You and your what is that he likes to do, that where he goes camping where they don't have nothing, just nothing but mosquitoes?
The naturalist thing, or what does he do?
Yeah, that's what he's into.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, anyway.
Ricky Bridges says bass boats rule again. Right on, Ricky. Got to stick together.
Yeah, till I get my paintball gun with the purple paint out on y'all out there. You come on.
And then I get you call the Wildlife and Fisheries and have Mr. Green Jeans arrest you for harassing fishermen, which is in the statutes. All right, keep going.
But that's all right. I got something up my sleeve for all of you jackwagons that come out here near my place on the lake. I got something up my sleeve because if you come flying by here and I got video of you, you're going to be breaking the law.
And let me just say, I'm completely with you on that one, Mr. Lowry. On that point, we completely agree.
I'm just telling you, I got a catch in the law because I did extensive research. And I'm not going to tell all of y'all. I'm not going to tell you what it is, but I got extensive research that I'm going to get every one of you. But anyway.
I agree. Wait. I agree with Mr. Jones. I'm a little jealous because you are a rich landowner and you need to pay for your wealthy existence. You have that home right there on the lake. I am jealous.
I bought when it wasn't rich and wealthy. I bought when it was po folks up here. And because all the rich folks moved in around me, I can't help that. I mean, I spruced up the neighborhood and then all these dadgum rich people came around here. What can I say? What you got to say about that?
All right. So let's keep going down the buoys.
So anyway, we were having that dialogue about the no wake zones, right? And we're like, okay, well, where exactly is the no wake zone? I don't think we had a disagreement, but we had a little bit of question or inquisitiveness. So we sent a public information request in, and the public information request got a response to the Cypress district, to which I wasn't exactly expecting. And during the week, you got a call and I got a call from landowners regarding our talking about the subject because they are aggravated about the failure of their seawall, the no wake zones. Apparently, it's more than an issue than just when we've been talking about it on our show. There's more people that are aggravated about it than what we even realized. So we sent this public information request in and we finally got a response from the Cypress district. They were prompt. I said finally, I'm not meaning that disparagingly, to which the response was basically that the only designated no wake zones that to their knowledge are Glen Cove, where I live.
Yeah, that sounds familiar.
Isn't that interesting?
Yes.
But the catch was they said it's registered with the Wildlife and Fisheries.
All right, now stop right there. According to the statutes, and I don't have it in front of me, it spells out the entities that are responsible for this. So, yeah. Educate the rest of us.
So that is a rabbit hole still left to go down. That's where it's at as it stands now, is that we've got to kind of go down the road with Wildlife and Fisheries. But the only recognized that they know of happens to be Glen Cove, where I live, which I got to tell you, that's surprising to me. I would have
you have a legitimate gripe now.
I think I might have a legitimate gripe. So we're going to have to go down that road a little bit further and just see where it all ends up. But
See,
hey,
I was hoping that it wouldn't actually be a no wake zone because I was gonna go in there with my, well, I can't really call mine a glitter rocket because it doesn't have any glitter. It's solid gel, but my red rocket, and I was gonna back up in your cove and just roar out of there and throw all the wake I could, just for you,
okay.
Mister, and video me while I'm doing it.
I know. So I'll tell everybody, let's go on and get it out here. I live at 1835 Glen Cove. So for all of your bass friend hooties that want to come in the cove and want to screw up. Now, tell me something. You and I had plans about doing something else out here to be able to expose those ruthless bass fishermen that have no
Those
respect for landowners.
ruthless bastards.
What bass? I didn't say that. You say that. But what I want you to for all of our listening audience, what was our evil devious Dr. Evil plan that we were going to do? Tell me.
Would that
Just
be
say
the
it.
game camera thing?
Well, we were talking about putting a camera up to where we could video all these bass boats coming in here doing what they do, and
Hey, look, for me, it's an etiquette thing because all joking aside, if there's a no wake zone, or if you're out there on your dock fishing, I tend to try to be courteous. You know, if I'm going to come into that cove, I'm going to shut down. If I see you out there fishing, I'm going to shut down just a little bit earlier so there's a little bit less wake to do it. But I realize that not all my fishing, and look, you can't discount those darn crappie fishermen because they're fishing out of bass boats now. It's like the crappie fishermen are infecting the bass fishing.
well, I don't know what's infecting all of y'all, but all I want you to do is be considerate of, the people. And I got to tell you, in recent years, there is a lot more inconsiderateness going on. And to those that get caught on that little evil, devious plan of ours, I got
Dr.
no problem.
Evil.
I got no problem with what befalls you, but I'm just saying, I live at 1835 Glen Cove, and if you want to come in and try out your rooster tail, by all means, have fun. Look forward to seeing you on video.
We just need one of those naked cats, and you can be Dr. Evil. All right.
Oh, wait a minute. Wait a
Oh,
minute.
I didn't say no. Don't go
You
get that
did. Wait a
blasted
minute.
cat.
I got one of those. Alice Boyer says manners. Good to see Alice.
And Kara says, "Did you really just put our home address out there?" All right, Miss Kara, I have to educate you on that. Your home address ain't no secret at all. It's
Hey,
public record. All right.
is it against the law to have a fish basket?
I don't think so. So,
Yeah,
like, if you're
well,
brim fishing or crappie fishing, you got a basket and you catch them and you drop them in there.
yeah, because I did have a fish basket one time, and somebody in a stinking bass boat raided my fish basket. So you know what I did? I had to put a tripwire on it.
I think it's illegal. I'd have to double check. Been a while since I've used a fish basket from back in the days when we had a farm, and of course, that was private property. So
Well, I had a little stringer. I had to walk up and go use the bathroom, and I had a little basket, and I had to put them in. So I don't know if that.
I don't think that. Look, when I was a kid and fished in the John boat on Phillips Bayou and other places in Monroe and all that, I would, instead of a stringer, because if you have a stringer on, the problem is the snakes, the water snakes, will come up and try to eat the fish, and then you look down and you got a snake that's got a half-eaten fish and a stringer full of fish, and then you got a real problem. So I would use a fish basket. That way I could drop my brim and all that in the fish basket and tie that up to my boat and just drag it along so they stayed in the water. But I digress. That was a long time ago when I was still a perch jerker.
All right.
I digress again. We're turning this into an outdoor news show, so we need to stop while we're ahead.
Well, I don't know what else to say except good night to everybody. Thank y'all for watching and tolerating us as we go off on our, buoys and pay and rants of all natures.
Everywhere else we go. Yeah, I'd like to thank everybody for watching too and the comments. Really appreciate everybody doing that. And we'll start closing out with go to bossierwatch.org. We've had a couple of people order a few coffee mugs. Appreciate that. As a matter of fact, I got a hat I need to deliver to our good friend Dr. Ed Gonzalez over there in Shreveport. If you got information you want to share, bossierwatch at protonmail.com. Make your own free Proton Mail account. No identifying information. Send it to bossierwatch at protonmail. And then it's truly anonymous email. And so we like to promote that service. It's a free service that you can use, or you can do the paid service too. But anyway, and check us out on the Outdoor News Facebook. Go to YouTube, hit the subscribe button for Bossier Watch, the Outdoor News, and Louisiana Watch. I know that's 3 things for homework, but this is a tough class. So we ask that you all, or that all of you do that on all 3 channels, and that will help us out to get the message out.
Yep, we're only as good as you, and if you don't do your work, we're doing our work. You got to do your work. We're trying to inform all of our folks out there, and we can't do it without you. I mean, it's we're in it together.
All right, I'm gonna hit the finish button, Mr. Lowry. What say you?
Have a good night. Thank you, guys.